I think we need a topic,
No.
right? Mataji,
It's a book of the night.
huh?
Is there a time to cut the program? No, there is no time. There is no time.
It's up to you. Huh?
It's about 45 minutes or so. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for kindly taking time to come, and I'm very delighted to be here, almost all of you. I'm feeling very grateful to have this opportunity to share something over this whole long weekend. We have called this whole program Festival of Spiritual Independence, knowing that it's an Independence Day weekend, but we have given a new meaning to it. The new meaning is that we want to talk about the independence of the soul out of the encumbrances of matter. So this weekend is an opportunity for us to take a dive out of our, you can say, mundane absorption and try to fill our life with spiritual sound vibrations and get into an increasing appreciation of the gifts of Srila Prabhupada and an increasing appreciation of the wonderful devotee association that all of us have here, particularly in Phoenix. So it's a great opportunity to dig deeper into finding out the wealth of Krishna consciousness. So today's topic is Grihastha Ashram. Anybody in the audience not a Grihastha? Obviously the children, except for the children. Is there anyone in the audience who has taken the vow of brahmacharya? There's a fit audience for this. Just kidding. Even if one is on a brahmachari track, still the topic is relevant because if a brahmachari is going to guide another grihastha, still one needs to be familiar with the topics of grihastha ashram. From that perspective, it's important. So what I have thought of doing today is first we will read something from Srila Prabhupada's purport, because there are unlimited number of instructions that are there in Prabhupada's books on this topic of Grihastha Ashram, practically speaking, unlimited. So I'm going to just first share some of those sections. Of course, there are many more, but because on this topic you can spend whole week doing a retreat. But just if you have to just speak on Grihastha Ashram for 45 minutes to 1 hour, so we can hardly do injustice. So what I will do is that I will do some sampling from Srila Prabhupada's writings, particularly from Srimad Bhagavatam, which emphasizes on the principles of Grihastha Ashram. And then my specific focus for this discussion is going to be the purpose of the Grihastha Ashram, and particularly the relationship between husband and wife. That's how I would like to conclude. So first, I would like to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter. So this is from the 1st canto, 7th chapter, 2nd verse purport. There is a very interesting transition point in this whole Srimad Bhagavatam, because that's where we are going to go deeper into this section also over the weekend. This is the place where Sutta Goswami is revealing how Srila Vyasadeva, after getting instructed by Narada Muni that he should be now focusing on exclusively glorifying Krishna. So he should write something which is exclusively going to glorify Krishna. Because Vyasadeva was feeling despondent and he was not satisfied after composing the various literatures within the Vedas. And he wanted to find out the cause of despondency from his spiritual master Narad Muni. And Narad Muni straight away he said that you are feeling despondent because you have not focused on the essence of the entire Vedic literature, which is basically cultivating our loving relationship with Krishna. So now write a singular literature which can just focus on glorifying Krishna and give us a direct process of awakening our dormant connection with Krishna. So with that, what Vyasadeva did, he went into meditation. And then he revealed, or Sutta Goswami revealed, what Vyasadeva saw after he went to that meditation. So we are not going through that, but I am reading the purport of the place where Sutta Goswami is beginning to describe Vyasadeva's meditation. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing, for spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required. The place on the western bank of the Saraswati is especially suitable for this purpose. So that's the place where Vyasadeva was going into meditation. And there is the ashrama of Vyasadeva at Shaumyapras. That's the place where he was going into his meditation. Srila Vyasadeva was a householder, yet his residential place is called an ashrama. An ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. So this is the place where Srila Prabhupada is giving introduction to ashrama. We are talking about Grihastha ashram. Here we are talking about ashrama. So ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. It does not matter whether the place belongs to a householder or a mendicant. The whole varnashrama system is so designed that each and every status of life is called an ashrama. So there are 4 ashramas in the varnashrama system. What are the 4 ashramas? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. But all of these are ashramas. And Prabhupada is writing that this means that spiritual culture is a common factor for all. So it does not matter whether one is a brahmachari or a grihastha or a vanaprastha or a sannyasi. It really does not matter. The focus is on spiritual culture. So Prabhupada is writing the brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthas and the sannyasis all belong to the same vision of life, namely realization of the Supreme. Therefore, none of them are less important as far as spiritual culture is concerned. The difference is a matter of formality on the strength of renunciation. The sannyasis are held in high estimation on the strength of practical renunciation. So what this means is that if we are carrying a misconception that if we are entering into Grihastha ashram, that means there can be some leeway for sense gratification, because that's what is the license that we are purchasing. One may think like that. But here Srila Prabhupada is dispelling that misconception and saying that that's not the case. Whether it is a brahmachari or a grihastha or a vanaprastha or a sannyasi, the goal remains the same, which is spiritual cultivation. So that should not be forgotten. So ashrama, the definition of ashrama is a place where spiritual culture is developed, or that is what is predominant. So if we are living a household life and spiritual culture is not there, then we cannot call it a grihastha ashram. And there is a term for it, and that's called Griha Medhi. Griha Medhi, Medha means what? Intelligence or absorption. Griha Medhi means where one's absorption is on house or byproducts thereof. So that means like if one's absorption is just on how to develop our house or develop our own empire, then actually defeats the purpose of Grihastha ashram. Then it is essentially a Griha Medhi life that cannot be called a Grihastha ashram. That's what we learned so far. Now let's try to read from, this is from an interesting section. This is from the 3rd canto, 14th chapter. So the context here is that Kashyap and Diti. Diti at the evening time was unable to control her lust, and he was approaching her husband that she wants to satisfy her lust. So this is how she is described. So in that place, the place wherever they are, where the stage Kashyapa is there and Diti is there. In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly, as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. We'll quickly read this purport. Beautiful Diti, seeing her husband absorbed in trance, began to speak loudly, not attempting to attract him by bodily expressions. She frankly says that her whole body was distressed by sex desire because of her husband's presence, just as a banana tree is troubled by a mad elephant. It was not natural for her to agitate her husband when he was in trance, but she could not control her strong sexual appetite. Her sex desire was like a mad elephant, and therefore it was the prime duty of her husband to give her all protection by fulfilling her desire. And the verses continue. Therefore you should, so this is Diti speaking, therefore you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. So, very interesting. First of all, the noteworthy point here is that although she is unable to control her sex desire, but she is not approaching husband for illicit sex. She is approaching her husband for having sons. Very, very important point. And then she is saying very explicitly, I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives, bringing out envy factor. By performing this act, you will be happy. You will become happy. A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children, because you are meant for the expansion of divinities. So even Prajapati, so that is his job description anyways. Kashyapa is supposed to generate future progeny. So in days long ago, our father, the most opulent, Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband. Our well-wishing father Daksha, after knowing our intention, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you. And since then, we have all been grateful. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. O hero, this is talked about Vidura because the character is narrating to Vidura. So hero is basically Vidura. So that Diti's dialogue is over. Diti thus being affected by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you, for who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberation. So here Kashyapa is also unable to control. So here the purport is very interesting. So this is purport to 3rd canto, 14th chapter, 17th verse. The three perfections of liberation are religiosity, economic development, and self-gratification. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation, because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Very interesting point. For a conditioned soul, let me read that again. For a conditioned soul, the wife is considered to be the source of liberation, because she offers her service to the husband for his ultimate liberation. Conditional material existence is based on sense gratification, and if someone has the good fortune to get a good wife, he is helped by the wife in all respects. If one is disturbed in his conditioned life, he becomes more and more entangled in material contamination. A faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires, so that he can then become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. If, however, the husband is progressive in spiritual advancement, the wife undoubtedly shares in his activities, and thus both the wife and the husband profit in spiritual perfection. It is essential, therefore, that girls as well as boys be trained to discharge spiritual duties, so that at the time of cooperation, both will be benefited. The training of the boy is brahmacharya. So this is very interesting statement. The training of the boy is brahmacharya, and the training of the girl is chastity. A faithful wife and spiritually trained brahmachari are a good combination for advancement of the human mission. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In Mahabharata, there is an interesting story which talks about an Indiana Jones-like character who is running through a dense dark forest and unable to see anything. It is dense dark, nothing is visible, but all he could hear is some rumbling of leaves from behind. And he got panicked. And then he starts running. And he realizes that actually he should be panicked because there is a tiger that is chasing him. So he keeps on running. And all of a sudden, he finds that he slips into some ditch. And while he was slipping, so naturally, out of instinct, he raises his hand. Fortunately, he gets 2 ropes to hold on to. So somehow there were 2 ropes hanging from some neighborhood tree. So he gets 2 ropes to hang on to. So now he's basically on the verge of falling into the ditch, but somehow fortunately he was saved by the 2 ropes. So now his situation is that he's somewhere midway into the ditch, and in that precarious position, hanging on from the 2 ropes. And then what happens is that, curious mind, so he starts thinking that I cannot go up because there is tiger, but at least I can think about going down. So I can explore what is there if I go to the bottom of the ditch. So then he starts going down. And when he goes down, he starts hearing some hissing sound. So he realizes that it's not an ordinary ditch, it's a snake pit. So now his position is that he cannot go down, he cannot go up. But still, he's at least got a rope, got a set of ropes to hold, to hang on to, so he's hanging on. And then what happens is that after a while, he sees that there is some sticky substance falling from the tree. Now, it was falling in different places, but then it happened to fall on his cheek, one of the drops. And then, the only way that he can test it, because his 2 hands are busy, so he took out his tongue, trying to taste that sticky substance. And he realizes, oh, that sticky substance is very tasty, it's honey, organic honey from the tree. So there is a beehive there. So Krishna is making some arrangements. So there, what happens is that now, after tasting that honey, so the next thing that he's thinking about, when is the next drop going to fall? Again. So he is getting his tongue out, waiting for the next installment of the honey drop So then, in this way, there are indeed some drops which actually happened to fall on his tongue, and then he felt a little contentment that okay, even in this dangerous situation, there is some happiness after all. This is the typical also nature of the material world. Happiness comes in kind of sometimes happiness comes in the most dangerous situation, and even when the happiness comes in the most dangerous situation, it's so easy to change our absorption into that object of happiness. Anyways, so he was right now, once in a while that honey drop was coming, and whenever it was falling he was tasting. But then he noticed that on the two sides of the rope there were some twinkle, because it's a dark dense forest, so you cannot make out what it is. But he saw two pairs of those twinkly things. But after careful observation, he found out that those are actually rats, and those rats somehow got attracted to the two ropes. So there were two rats, and now they started chewing on the two ropes. So then his heart started palpitating. But then after a while, another honey drop fell into his tongue, and his absorption again switched back to the honey drop. Oh, this honey I've never tasted in my life. I'm used to city life, but here I'm getting organic honey. So in this way, his situation is that so there happens to be a white rat and there happens to be a black rat, and they are chewing on that rope. So unfortunately, this guy cannot go up because there is tiger. He cannot go down because there are snakes. So the best possible position is really to hang and wait for those rats to chew on those ropes. But interestingly, Mahabharata gives this as an analogy to explain the conditions in which we are living. So it is not very much foreign to us. Because what is that rope? That rope is the life. So it's actually representing the life that one is holding on to. And then tiger represents the different varieties of miseries that we are running away from, different varieties of material miseries. And the ropes, they are constantly getting chewed on by the two kinds of rats, the black and the white rats, representing the daylight and the nighttime. So they are getting, the rope of life is constantly getting chewed on by the day and night. In fact, there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is generally, I won't say generally, at least one devotee calls that as a birthday verse. On every birthday we gift someone that verse. Ayur Tarati Vaiputsa. That is from the second canto, 3rd chapter, 17th verse. Anyways, we are not going to discuss that verse now. Which is just saying that with the passing of day and night, the life is just snatched away. So in this way, for this person, the life is getting snatched away, or particularly for him, there is an immediate danger that when the ropes are completely chewed away, he would fall into the ditch and the snakes would have. Now the snakes are representing death. So you can see